Happy Tuesday. Welcome in. This is the live recording of episode 51 of the Client by Client podcast. Wherever you're consuming this, I hope this finds you well. If this is your first time tuning in or being here for one of these recordings, whether you're live or you're watching the replay, drop the word first if that's your first time here. That way I can welcome you and say hi. If you're a repeat offender, drop me some ice cream emojis. I'm craving some ice cream today, so drop me some ice cream emojis and welcome in. In a little less than 30 seconds, we're going to talk about visualizations, how you might be sabotaging your own results in your business and in your life, and what to be doing instead. I want to share everything I know about visualization, about what to do, what not to do, so that you can have a way smoother path to the exact reality that you're trying to build with your online coaching business. That being said, let's hop in and let's bring this to life. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to go deep today in a couple minutes on visualization, and you are going to leave this episode knowing exactly what to do to visualize, and I think you're actually going to be excited about it. In yesterday's episode, before we get into the goods today, it was a two-parter actually, and it was all about money later tasks. Part of my mission with this show is to widen your perspective about your career in online coaching so that we can extend your longevity as an online coach. It's important that you understand. That said, it's important that you understand what to be doing on a day-to-day basis to drive results right now so that you're getting leads every day and either clients every week, or by the end of the month, you got your 3 to 5 clients. Furthermore, if you don't get out of that stage, it makes it really hard to grow. You wind up without the systems, without the right mindsets, without the right frameworks for actually creating a long-lasting business. So in episode 50, in the last episode, we talked about money later tasks, what you need to be spending a small amount of time on at the beginning of your career, and how that starts to widen and become your core focus as you start to take care of the money, as revenue gets consistent, as clients start rolling in, what to be doing in order to actually make your business easier to run the longer that you're an online coach. So backtrack to episode 50 to understand the money later tasks. And then also, if your revenue's inconsistent right now, if you're below 15K a month, be sure to start with episode 49, also my favorite number, big 49er fan, and understand what the money now tasks are so that you know exactly what to do to be driving results in your online business. Today, I want to know, are you visualizing your success on a daily basis? The reason why I want to talk about this today, and I alluded to this over the last 2 or 3 episodes. Last week, I got on my Wednesday call with my Get Clients students, and there was a lot of chitter chatter about self-doubt, questioning themselves, and they weren't using those exact words, but I could tell by the actions that they were sharing with me that was going on. And so I asked a straight up question, show of hands, who here in this room, in the Zoom room, is visualizing their success? And of all the people that were there, no hands went up. I asked a second question, who here is doubting themselves, having negative self-talk and starting to believe it, and is questioning their journey as an entrepreneur, as an online coach, and if this industry and if online coaching is for them? And all of their hands went up. Now, I don't say this proudly because it's my duty as their coach and as a business coach to help eradicate those things. And I've been in programs before and have mentors that do not believe in mindset, that do not believe that's a thing and that it's a total waste of time. But the reality is, many of us don't have the right frameworks, tools, and mindsets to actually understand and analyze our own thinking, to discover why it is we may not be getting the results that you're wanting and what to do instead. So I've had mentors where mindset is everything, and I've had other mentors, even recently, people that you know and that you follow, who do not believe in mindset, in developing mindset, in limiting beliefs, or any of those things. So I asked my clients, none of them were visualizing their success. They all were experiencing self-doubt, questioning themselves, and they were also chasing shiny objects. before we talk about the three big things that I need for you to understand so that you can stop visualizing your failure and so that you can start visualizing your success, it's important for you to grasp what happens if you don't get this episode right. The first thing that happens is that you start chasing shiny objects only to realize years later down the road. And when that's happened, you've wasted time, you've wasted a lot of money, and you're probably constantly visualizing your own downfall, and you're probably thinking very negative thoughts. The second thing that happens is that you become a victim to that negative self talk. You start believing it and you start sabotaging your own results. I'll say that again to make sure. And you start sabotaging your results. Who right now is experiencing some degree of one of those things? You're either chasing shiny objects because you don't know exactly what you want, and you're falling victim to other people's own self-conviction and confidence and think that for you to get that confidence you have to do those same things, or who is so far down the path that you've fallen victim to believing in that negative self-talk, and those thoughts are becoming the routine things that you are thinking. That said, let's hop in and let's talk about starting to visualize your success, reminding you about the importance and some of the tools that you have at hand, and sharing with you everything that I know about visualization. Now, my first experience with visualization came when I came across a book called The Secret. And I don't know exactly what episode it was in where I shared my experience. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, see, sorry for that. Thank you so much. So, my first experience with visualization came from exposure to a book called The Secret. This was either in 2006 or 2007, and it was on Oprah. My mom was watching it. She was like, Mijo, come here, check this out. And I was working at Target at the time, and I started pimping out the Target credit cards when no one else was doing it. I had the gusto. They even promoted me to being like in the electronics area because I was selling so many of them. They said, Jeremy, for every red card you close, we're gonna give it $20 at Food Ave, the like cafeteria where there's like Pizza Hut and popcorn and soft drinks, whatever. Or you can have $10 in media of like magazines, CDs of what you want. So you can pick. And at that time, I was like approaching 200 pounds, maybe already over. And so it was a kind of a tough decision, but they're already paying me, so I have money for the food. So I decided in my shift that I was gonna buy the book The Secret. And so I bought it. I literally read that book sitting on the toilet, just like one like third. It took me like 30 minutes, and I was done with it. And I said to myself, I need to choose a goal to see if this is real. And so I chose a goal. I told myself that I wasn't gonna pray about it, do anything else about it besides follow this framework in The Secret. And I chose a goal that was so far out of reach that I was convinced that it was impossible. Not only did that goal come to life, it exceeded my expectations, and all of the visualizations that I ran came true a year later at the time of the year when it can happen. Basically, I ran for a national office of a student organization, and not only was I elected to be a national officer a year later after following these visualizations, I was chosen by my team to be the president of the team. And so I was president of over 300,000 students of a little organization called Skills USA. My next exposure came about 10 years later in a book called Reality Transurfing. Reality Transurfing is about a 700-page book, but it's a very easy read, and it talked about visualization and it talks about visualization in ways I've never heard someone explain it. And it is very easy to read, but it gets into the quantum physics of visualization. You can look up books, audiobooks, or you can just go and grab the book, Vadim Zeland, Reality Transurfing. It's the most in-depth read I've experienced on the art of visualization and just the practice of visualization. In between those 10-ish years, I would visit and then get away from visualization. I would find myself stagnant and then remember visualization and say, okay, let me set a goal. And it became a part of me, but I also got distant from it as life happened. And so I share that to tell you that, this is not the first time. I know it's not the first time you've heard of visualization, and I know that you've probably in the past have thought about and even like internalized the practice and the importance of visualization. But what I also know is that life happens and it's really easy to get away from the things that we know are beneficial. So that's a couple more reasons why I want to share it. And also, I just wanted to share my background and my success with visualization. What I know now more than anything else, regardless of the book, regardless of the method and who teaches you how you learn it, is that we are products of our thoughts and thinking. Moreover, we are products and we are the thoughts that we continuously have. We are, as human beings, habitual. And the thoughts we have create what looks like routes or roads in our mind. And the more we walk that path in our mind, the more ingrained it becomes. Einstein has a quote about, the chains of habit are too light to notice at first until it's too late and they're impossible to remove. He says it way more elegantly. If you know that quote, you know that quote. If not, look it up. But it's the truth. We become our thoughts, and you right now, in whatever situation you are in, whether it's absolutely beautiful, becoming beautiful, or not so great, it's your thinking that got you there. And it's my goal to either help you to identify and double down on the visualization so that you can have the life that it is that you're wanting, and so that you can at least stop the self-talk and sabotaging, I can't say that word, and sabotaging your results. The first thing to do to start visualizing and to grasp the concept of visualization is you have to do a self-audit. A few years back, I met a gentleman named T, and he introduced the term to me, metacognition, which is thinking about your thinking. You have to start analyzing your thoughts. And if you have times in your day where you're feeling depressed or anxious, mad, upset, angry, those are the times I want you to start by diving into so that you can start getting to the root of why that thought is there, and so that you can be thinking, is that your thought? Did someone else put that thought in your mind? Were you around someone who's super negative and you just kind of downloaded that and that's your way of life now? Or did something happen in your life that you need to kind of unpack that led you to that spot? You have to be thinking about your thinking all the time. This starts with a self-audit. This starts with becoming grounded and present with yourself. You have to be okay with your own thoughts. And if you're not okay, this process will start to get you there. Sometimes if you're in your own environment that you're used to around the same people, it's really hard to analyze yourself. So I would implore you to get outside or get into a place that's big. If you're at home, your thoughts get smaller. When you're outside, your thoughts get bigger, which is also why I think it's great to find a place where you can get perspective of your city or a city or something like that. Going on a hike, you get up to the top and you can kind of see everything. As above, so below, your mind is able to start seeing everything too. So get outside, get at least out of your environment if it's difficult for you to get into the mode or the want to think about your thinking. Maybe you leave your technology at home, you leave your phone in the car, and you take some paper and a pen with you. You go to the coffee shop, you grab a coffee, and you sit down and you start writing out what it is that you don't want, which is where it all starts for a lot of people. Some of you haven't started practicing or gotten in the habit of visualization because you don't know what you want yet. That's totally cool. The way to get there for some of us, for some of you, is to think about what it is that you don't want. And that takes us into thing number 2. So the first thing, you have to start thinking about your thinking. You have to start doing a self-audit. This is not something that's going to happen in one session for most of you, and you're going to be crystal clear about what to do going forward. This is going to be a constant, ongoing process of you analyzing your thoughts and thinking. This is probably one of those highest leverage things that you can do, because in doing this, you'll start to get out of your own damn way. Thing number 2. You have to get really clear about what it is that you do want. It starts with thing number 1 of analyzing your thoughts and becoming grounded and present with what it is that you don't want. But you got to start getting clear on what it is that you do want. If thinking in opposites gets you there, awesome. If you aren't doing the negative self-talk, but you also kind of don't know what it is that you want, well, you're going to have to explore. You're going to have to look at your mentors, your role models. You're going to have to maybe read some biographies and autobiographies, and maybe look up some mentors that you really look up to, or visit the Stoics of the past and their writings, or visit philosophers, dead or alive, and start thinking through what it is that you do want. Some of you are in situations where you haven't seen a lot of the world or know what else is out there, which is kind of what this part is you have to turn on a switch in your mind to say what it is that I want. And then you can start to look at and be open-minded to those experiences coming your way, not in the sense of like what you want it comes to fruition and it manifests, but where you start to see examples of others doing things, you're like, wow, I want that. Maybe it's a car. Maybe it's the significant other. Maybe it's an experience in the world. Maybe it's some sort of achievement. For some of us, and I've been there too, I need examples of like what success is. Like, I'm not a big aficionado on homes and houses. And when I see a house and I'm inside of it and I'm like, oh crap, like this is what I want, I had to see it first. I only know, 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses that I've lived in the majority of my life, and like most people here in America have. But when you start to look at mansions, condos, tiny homes, boxcars, RVs, mobile, travel, whatever, you can start to sort and sift through and say what it is that I want. You might be like me and say, I want to do some traveling before I settle down and get the house that I want and have the family that I want and all of those things. That's totally cool. Sometimes you do have to explore. You have to hear others' examples, talk with your parents, talk with your kids, talk with the people that you trust. And then in that, sometimes in the talking of it, what you want actually comes out of your heart through your mouth. And then you're like, okay, let's start with that. The most important thing here is that if you are going to go out and explore, or if you do have mentors and role models that you look up to, and like some of their goals are now the things that you want, well, I want to challenge you, and this is also going to help you in this journey, that it needs to be in your own words, and you should want for it to be yours. You should not, this is going to sound interesting, but I hope you get at what I'm saying here. You shouldn't want what anybody else has. You should want what's yours. So use others as inspiration. Don't use them as the bar, because in doing that, you now limit yourself and the potentials and the possibilities of what might be meant for you. Maybe God or universe or whatever it is that you believe, your higher self, maybe that has something way better in store for you. And there are some steps that you need to go to get there, and some growing and some evolution. But the clearer you get on that, the more you can start taking steps forward, the more the tasks that you're doing on the day-to-day basis start to get you towards that place in the matrix. At the end of the day, this can be broken down into two ways. Everything happens for a reason, and then you get to where you're at, or every potential already exists, and you get to choose it and navigate the matrix to get to that spot through your visualizations and through the decisions that you have. The truth is probably somewhere in between those two. I'm one of those that doesn't like to leave it up to chance, and I've experienced amazing results from both. Make it in your own words. It needs to be your own thing. Your visualization should be yours. You shouldn't want what anybody else has, but that should serve as inspiration for you to get clear on what it is that you do want and want to have. Thing number 3, now that you've gotten clear on what you don't want, you've gotten some clarity on what it is that you do want. Maybe you have a list. Maybe you have a certain outcome that it is that you're wanting. Well, now you have to start creating that visualization. And this part I learned more from reality transurfing than anywhere else, which is the idea of what the author Vadim Zeland calls the target slide. It's about putting together almost a movie clip that you can play in your mind that's from your own perspective. So it's not like you're watching a movie of your life on the big screen. It's like you're the actor in the movie. You're in your body from your own point of view. You're seeing the things happen. That's what makes a powerful target slide and a powerful visualization. It needs to be like, if you're thinking about the car that you want, your hands are on the steering wheel. You're looking through the windshield. You're not looking at yourself in the car. You are actually driving the car, and it's a part of your life. It should be from your own perspective. And once you have this clip, it should be like a snapshot of what the ultimate success should look like should you achieve your target goal. I want you thinking about, what would my life look like if I hit all of my goals and all the things I'm wanting to happen? What happens then? What are the details of that? You can think as big as that with like, what's the ultimate proof that I'm a success in this thing and that my visualization has come true? And you can think as small as to what are you doing in your day-to-day that's maybe not going the way you're wanting, that you want to visualize going the way you're wanting, and you start to visualize succeeding at the task that's going to get you in. It's the in between to the goal. Vadim talks about have your target slide for like the ultimate success and what the ultimate manifestation of your goal is, and then you start to create smaller target slides for the in between. And what he challenges you to do is the same thing I'm going to challenge you to do, is to visualize yourself in the process of doing what it is that you are wanting. If there's a goal you have, get clear on the goal and what success looks like ultimately at the end of the goal. When I wanted to be a Skills USA national officer, I pictured the end goal. I visualized me wearing the button down Oxford and looking down at my shirt and seeing Jeremy Montoya, national officer, underneath it embroidered. I visualized being backstage with my new team when we get elected, all in our red blazers and taking the picture, and I like see the photographer and the flash and the people around me. I visualized me being up on stage after my name got called. I also visualized my campaign. So I visualized the end goal, and then I visualized the micro things that need to happen to make that end goal true. I read a story in elementary school or high school, something like that, in school about Abraham Lincoln when he ran for president, and there's actually in Washington D.C. in the Ford Theater Museum, there's a cast, a plaster of Paris of Abraham Lincoln's hands when he ran for president. I think it was the second time that he actually won, and his right hand was like twice the size of his left hand. It was swollen from shaking so many hands. And so I saw that the year before I ran for national office, where if it came true the next year when I'm back in Washington, D.C., I'm now a national officer, no longer just a student leader. And so I said, I'm going to be shaking a lot of hands. I'm going to visualize me looking down on my hands and my right hand being swollen. I visualize myself losing my voice. I visualize myself being in the hotel in Kansas City, Missouri, and feeling the overall humidity in and outside, and what it would feel like dressed to the nines and in my blazer, in the red coat. Visualizing me and my team from Arizona coming down the escalator and seeing all the delegates in the lobby, and then walking into the delegation room, what it would look like, what it would feel like, how others would react to me, what the reaction would be when I'm giving my speeches. As a part of my campaign, I went out there and the room's dead silent. There's about 500 to 600 of the top student leaders in the entire organization that I'm about to go and give a speech in front of them because I'm trying to convince them to give me their vote. I went up there. I get to the podium. I shuffle my papers. I put my little speech down. Even though I have it memorized, I have my stuff with me. I reach into my pocket. I grab out my phone. HTC Slide was a blue one, the soft blue touch. I open it. I hit the picture button, and I take a quick picture from the podium of the audience, and I still have that picture. And you could hear it in the microphone, like the camera flashing sound. And I go, thanks. That was for my mom. And all the women in the audience, all in unison, go, aww. And then I start my speech. I visualized that so much, and it went exactly the way we planned it. I would have these little sessions with my mentor. He was the state officer manager, and another student who was running with me, Chris Cronball. Shout out to Chris. And a lot of times we were working on our campaign materials and putting the things together. 75% of the time, we were sitting there talking about what was going to happen and how it would be and how cool this would be and this and that. And we didn't get too overly excited. We just had calm conversations about what it was going to look like. And all the things we talked about, even Chris getting announced before me and him looking back and being like, do I wait? And I'm like, no, go. And he takes off down the stairs, Kemper Arena, and goes up on stage. It all came absolutely true. So I had a target slide, bringing this all back. I had a target slide, a visualization that I could play, a clip in my mind of what the end looked like, being on stage, being backstage with the picture. And then I had smaller target slides of the process of running and then being successfully elected. So some small examples for you. You got to think about the big picture, and then you need to start thinking about the small steps in between. Where the rubber really hits the road with this is when you start visualizing yourself succeeding at an individual task that's going to lead you to success, and then you start doing the task. So let's say you have something coming up, like before I record this podcast, closing my eyes, visualizing the thing that I am wanting in the big picture, running that clip, maybe running the clip of what success looks like with my podcast, and having the goal that turns from thought into feeling. And when you can start to feel like you will feel when you have what it is you're wanting because your visualization came true, that is where you turn the corner with visualizations. That is where the rubber meets the road. And that is where you transform from who you are right now into the person that achieves those things in your visualizations. It should raise the hair on your arms. It should be so crystal clear in your mind that it starts to make you smile, that you lose sight of everything in your immediate environment because you're so clearly there in your mind and in your heart. That's when the visualization starts to work. That's when it starts to become yours, and you will start to get small signs of validation for you to keep going. And all you have to do is pick your target slide, run that target slide every day. Do it before you're going to sit down to do tasks so that that energy goes into adding up to your target visualization. And then you have to expect that that thing is, you have to have this energy of almost it has already happened and carry that with you and be expecting that thing to happen. Vadim says the same way the mail comes every day and you can expect and count on it, and how you calmly go out to the mailbox and get your mail and walk back. That should be the same kind of energy you carry about your goals, is you expect it's going to come. And so you don't get excited when things start to go your way, and you don't get angry or upset when they don't. You know not in this human body, good or bad. So why judge? When you start to judge things in front of you as this thing is bad that happened to me or this thing is really good, you are now throwing off the balance of the universe, because there is no good or bad. There only is what is true in this current present moment. You know not what that is, because we've all had situations, right, where the best thing that happened to us turned out to be the worst thing years later. And sometimes the worst thing that happened to us end up being the best in hindsight. You have to carry this energy of expectation that it's already happened and nothing rocks your boat. We talked about the beach ball in the water. This is part of Vadim's reality transfer thing, that when you see your goal, that beach ball, you jump into the water and you start chasing it and you end up pushing that ball out in front of you. That's how most people are. And even when you let go and you let your body float and you slowly and calmly move your way to the ball, no rush, and you even compensate a little bit by going a little further than the ball because it's going to bob no matter what, and then letting it come into your arms, that's the sort of way you need to carry yourself, and that I want for you to carry yourself when it comes to your visualizations. They are not going to happen overnight for the majority of you, but the more you run them, expect them to happen and carry the energy that they already have. Now you have the winning recipe for your success as an online coach, or for anything you're wanting in your business or in your life. In the next episode of Client by Client, we're going to talk about commandment number 2, track key actions. Back in episode 12, we talked about the first commandment of online coaching. We talked about if you build it, they will not come. Now we're going to talk about tracking key actions. And actually, that was from the 7 sins. So let me make sure, for the sake of the recording, that I have this right. 1 second. Okay, sell it first is the thing. If you build it, they will not come. Let's take a look here real quick. If you build it, they will not come. I thought we had one directly on selling it first. Give me 1 second. I had this all planned and I thought I had it all dialed in and good to go. If you build it, they will not come. 1 second, team. If you're here, I appreciate your patience. Banger of an episode, I hope, so far. I hope this was helpful for you, and that you got some good stuff out of it. Let me find something else real brief here, team. And then we'll hop back in. Building it first. Commandments. juicy offers. Okay, we're going to switch that then. In the next episode of Client by Client, we're going to talk about commandment number 1. In episode 3, I shared with you the 7 sins of online coaching. And in episode 12, we talked about the first sin of building it first, that if you build it, they will not come. We're going to shift gears and kind of play off of that. And we're going to talk about the first of 10 commandments for successful online coaches, which is all about making juicy offers. So be sure to come back tomorrow to check in for that episode. Whenever you are ready, here are 3 ways I can help you grow your online business. First, download your free copy of GetBookedCRM. Coaches, are you still managing your leads and pipeline from Facebook Messenger, Instagram DM, and your email inbox? Well, you're leaving money on the table and you're losing leads in the cracks. That's why I created GetBookedCRM. With my free CRM, it's going to help you get leads and turn them into clients in half the time. To get your free copy, all you have to do is find me on Instagram and send me the letters CRM. Second, join my free group for online coaches. I've got almost 1,000 coaches in the Leverage Coach community where I share free resources, things I find helpful for growing my business, and where you can get around me and almost 1,000 other online coaches who are just a step or 2 ahead of you at the exact same step that you're at, or 1 or 2 steps behind where you're at right now. And my belief is that all ships rise in a high tide, and I want for your success to be a part of it. Coaches, find me on Instagram. Coaches, DM me the word group to get your invite now. Lastly, become my next success story. I'm getting some coaches together this month to implement my strategies and methods for injecting 15K worth of new clients or doubling your online client roster over the next 30, 60, 90 days. But I'm very particular about who I work with. So this is only for you if you are a relationship-focused coach who always puts the person ahead of the money. You've been coaching for at least 1 year, or you're not brand new to online coaching. You would like to get 3 to 5 clients organically every month from social media without wasting money on paid ads. You have at least 300 friends on a social media platform, email list, or group. You are willing to take bold action because you know that your success depends upon it. And last but not least, you can keep a secret. If that's you, find me on Instagram at WhatUpJeremy and DM me the words case study. When you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions about your online business and your journey. And then I'll share with you what we have coming up this month in the Get Clients program, how we're already helping other online coaches to crush it, like Juan A., who's having a 65K month already booked in August. And we'll discover, and I'll share with you what part of the program will likely have the highest impact on your online business the soonest. All you have to do is find me on Instagram at WhatUpJeremy and send me the words case study now. That's it for today's episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you back tomorrow with another one. Cheers. Woo! I had to turn the air down. That's why I needed a quick second because it got real hot. I would love to know what part of today's episode was like the reminder that you needed, and maybe even like a bit of your journey. While we're talking about something that should be exciting, like visualization, it can also be one of those things when we're talking about our goals and success means that we're also talking about failures and maybe even lack of current progress. And so if there was a reminder, a tip, something that you needed to hear, something that maybe you heard in a different way, I would love to know what that is for my own journey. And if anything, that'll help you maybe consolidate it and carry that thought with you. And I would just love to hear what it is that maybe you're going after and what part of today was the thing that you needed to hear. So there's some post-show stuff. Send me a DM or a messenger note here on Facebook or wherever it is that you're watching this. Thank you guys so much. I'll be back tomorrow. Cheers.